We now come to the 10-minute rule motion. Selaine, Saxby.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring a bill to make provision about monitoring and reporting of water quality in bathing water sites in coastal areas and for connected purposes. I am proud to represent some of the finest and cleanest beaches in the world. North Devon is home to the UK's only World Surf Reserve and the only cold water surf reserve in the world. I must declare an interest. I do surf badly and was in this last weekend. I am proud of the work this government has done to ensure that we have taken the monitoring of storm overflows from just 6% in 2010 to 100% last year. However, this data is abused along our coastlines and often scares people out of the water. Whilst we know something comes out of a pipe, we have no idea what it contains. This bill seeks to expedite the testing of what is in an overflow pipe, but also to define what is and what is not raw sewage. Despite asking numerous questions of DEFRA, I am still unable to explain to anyone how an overflow pipe that is at least 95% rainwater is still able to be defined as raw sewage. Legal definitions online are clear that raw sewage should relate to consisting primarily of human faeces and water, and it's not the water bit that is where the bacteria hangs out. Clearly, the more water, the more diluted. My bill relates to bathing waters at coastal sites because there quite clearly is a major difference in the impact of an overflow event into something as environmentally sensitive and slow-moving as a chalk stream compared to the massive tides, huge volume and fast-moving seawater of the Atlantic Ocean. Salt water in itself can kill some bacteria. We have seen a surge in all-year-round activity along our coast thanks to improved wetsuits and a growing number of hardy folk wild swimming, but our bathing water season, which determines when our coastal waters are tested, has only run from May to September, meaning that when water-based tourism is still going strong in Devon, there has been no testing along our coasts. The bathing season data gives vital historic information about water quality, and whilst warmly welcoming yesterday's announcement from DEFRA that the department plans to consult on a series of potential reforms, this will not resolve the misinformation and current lack of immediate information after a storm overflow event. This winter, there have been tests ongoing to see if the season can be extended, but the nature of the Environment Agency's testing regime makes it hard to replicate with a test tube at the testing site just off the beach during winter storms with 12-foot waves. This leaves bathers throughout the winter reliant on trying to work out what is going on from the average of previous summer's data along with details of when the storm overflow last went, despite having no information about what came out the pipe. The Department of Culture, Media and Sport advised the Environment Agency as the gold standard for whether the bathing water is clean enough for sporting activities, despite the lack of data for half of the year. One group of all-year-round bathers explained to me they go and peer into the water and decide if they think it's safe to go in. Surely we can do better than this. But building on the experience of the Environment Agency, you would think it was possible to determine when it was safe to go back into the water after an overflow event. And indeed, the Environment Agency, or EA, recommends waiting one full tidal rotation before going back into the water after an overflow has run. However, Surfers Against Sewage advise 48 hours, which is linked to viruses and World Health Organization data, when clearly the issue being considered is bacteria in a storm overflow. Surfers Against Sewage did such great work when established 40 years ago to tackle the water companies to clean up their act along the coast, which has seen an increase in the number of bathing waters with an excellent rating. Their campaigning now, however, seems to be destroying the hard-won reputation of these bathing waters. Last winter, Devon and Cornwall were under a permanent sewage watch, according to Surfers Against Sewage. Yet South West Water helped event organisers along the coast ensure that Christmas and New Year swims went ahead as far as possible. And yes, we would all like to have no overflows running, but it rains a lot in the southwest of England, and with climate change we have seen a big increase in the number of big storms with torrential rain, and with the best will in the world, the water companies are not going to stop it raining. And that rain has to go somewhere. Sporadic testing that is happening on our beaches is showing that often the streams running onto the beaches are far more polluted than the water coming out the storm overflows. So I do think we need to follow the science and recognise in constituencies like mine, less than 1% of the water pollution we deal with is related to human sewage. Yes, there is work to do, but stopping storm overflows is not the be-all and end-all to improving the quality of our bathing water. Even Surfers Against Sewage recognise that there have been improvements, although they don't like my sharing the email they sent me last year. They stated, with regards to the beaches in your constituency, we totally agree that huge improvements have been made to water quality there and in many places around the country. And the very last thing we want to do is scare people off from getting in the water. But without advising what quality the water is, anyone can set up an app and advise it is safe or it is not safe to go in. But no one actually knows if the water has been tested. Many regular users of our bathing waters recognise that when it rains, even if there is no storm overflow, the water is not as clean as when it hasn't. We need accurate and up-to-date data on the water quality in its entirety, not just when an overflow has run. There are some awful examples of when the current system does not work. When the Ashford sewage treatment works on the Tor broke down earlier this year, the EA advised closing 4 beaches. This is done via councils. But Surfers Against Sewage, normally the first to rush to tell you there is raw sewage on the beach when there isn't, didn't raise a flag at all. They don't use that data. So subsequently surf lessons continued as messages from councils did not reach beaches, whilst for 6 hours proper untreated sewage was discharged. It wasn't classed as a storm overflow on a bathing water beach, so nobody paid any attention. This bill will ensure there is some form of test data from coastal bathing waters all year round. It will also require water companies to test what is coming out of their storm overflows when they run, and that the term raw sewage only be used when the concentration of bacteria warrants it. New definitions that accurately reflect what is coming out of pipe would then be determined. And in addition, post-overflow events would require testing of the seawater, so there was an accurate determination of how long it actually takes for the pollution within a storm overflow to dissipate, as this varies widely depending on tidal conditions. This time will vary by beach and overflow event, but over time, good data banks will be established and better guidance can be issued than the current blanket. Any organisation failing to follow the guidance would not have access to the data. Our beachgoers deserve better data than they are currently getting. As my own surf school said, if we listened to Surfers Against Sewage, we'd never go surfing. And despite being in the water every day, not one of their instructors has ever been unwell. We need all year round data, some instant testing after incidents, and consistent advice in a consumer-friendly format. North Devon's beaches are some of the cleanest in the world. And as the one-woman tourist board for North Devon, I urge you all to come down, swim, surf, sail, and enjoy the beautiful coastline. As a mathematician, we need better data. Reducing storm overflows is vital, and this government is demanding that of water companies. But just knowing a pipe has discharged when it has been raining is not good enough, and we must get better bathing water data available all year round now.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Caroline Ansell, Flick Drummond, Anna Firth, Kevin Foster, Selaine Fox, Sir Robert Goodwill, Sally Ann Hart, Simon Jupp, Sherilyn McCrory, Matt Warman, and myself, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Selaine Saxby.
Thank you. Bathing Waters Monitoring and Reporting Bill.
Second reading what day?
Friday the 14th of June.
Friday the 14th of June. Thank you. Thank you.